Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's discussion on depression.
Again, that brings me to one of the questions by our follower, that what are the do's and don'ts when it comes to depression? So we know that when it comes to us, we do not like to be, lectured about, what should we do and what should we not do. But what if we have a friend or a family member who is depressed? Then how should one's approach be like? How should they make the other person feel that we are there for you?
From depressed mood, yes, you can ask them to make an effort to uh, you know to change their circumstances, to change their environment, to change their interaction, or to change the way they feel. Because after all, everything that we do is our reaction to the external world, and we can't change the external world off and on. We can walk away from it. We have to change the way we look at things. So we can encourage people to change the way they look at things. Uh, they change the way they perceive things and see whether that helps. But when somebody is into a proper clinical depression and it's been lasted for a long time, then what you need to do, the don'ts, is that you can't ask them to snap out. You can't just ask them to cheer up. You can't just tell them to say it's going to be okay. You can't just minimize and say, okay, it's fine. Come on, this is not you, and so on. So try not to say those things. Depression is common, and depression, when it gets to an illness grade, it needs proper treatment and intervention. If you know a family member who is experiencing emotional problems, then gently confront them to say that, the way you have been lately is a little bit different to what you normally are. So, for example, if you're chirpy and happy person, but you seem very gloomy all the time, then quite why? Ask, ask and wait. Give them a chance to talk. Listen. Uh, Allow for the emotions to flow. Allow for the tears to flow. So that's what you need. That's the do you need to do, and the don't is don't just put them down. Don't make them feel that this is not you. This can't be you. That this is reinforcing that somebody is, if they are depressed and tearful and emotional, then they are weak. That's not. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a character flaw. It's a common ailment, and it's very, very treatable.
So I think lending that ear to hear, like what we say, we have two ears and one mouth, and we should use it proportionately. So definitely we should listen more and talk less. And this is true not just in general conversation that we have, but definitely very important when it comes to depression. And having a non-judgmental stance of, keeping your views to yourself rather than, saying that do this or do that, or please come out of it. It's not a big deal. I think that kind of thing should definitely be avoided and not done,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to depression.
Somebody's just asked the question where they're saying that, when you try to tell somebody with depression, they say they feel that they're lecturing them. Don't lecture them.
Yes.
Don't lecture, because you're saying that tell me more. And in a practice we use something called open-ended question. An open-ended question simply means that tell me how you've been. And the person will tell you. And closed question is something like, did you sleep well? And the answer to a closed question is yes and no. I didn't sleep well. So in a conversation, it has to be an open-ended question to say that, tell me more about yourself, and that you could talk about anything. Tell me more about your mood. Tell me about your sleep. What's that like? That's an open-ended question. So in a conversation, have an open-ended question, and when they talk, listen. And what you will see is that the conversation flows. And 2 ears, one mouth, good point. 70-30 is what I say normally, even in any conversation. If you do 70% of listening, 30% of talking, then you'll see that you feel much more satisfied with the conversation, because
Yeah.
you hear more, you learn more, and the other person feels that they've been heard. So they emote, they will share more. So it's the quality of conversation goes up. Your turn will come to talk. Let the other person do the talking first, especially when you ask.
Yes, yes. And I think that's what we all follow in our clinical setting also, where, and we see the difference of, when you ask close-ended question versus when you ask open-ended question. So open-ended is when people get more chance to talk and vent out, or, discuss about the problem more rather than giving them a specific direction of yes or no. So definitely the flow of conversation goes better when we ask open-ended questions, allowing them to elaborate and discuss more about their concerns. So
Yes,
definitely, I think we should do that.
absolutely. And psychologists are very, very good at initiating
We
and
are trained
maintaining
to be.
conversation and maintaining conversation for long period.
So yeah, so I think again that is one of the most important thing. A lot of people just say it's a talk therapy and you just talk. That's it. That's what happens in therapy or when you meet a mental
Mm,
health professional. I think that's where I would also like to focus that it's not just about talk. It's about helping you see. So what inner therapy we do is we also help the clients see what they are going through and how these are connected so that they
mm.
become more aware. And like in today's session, I think a lot of people have already understood what depression is, and at least now they are quite aware of how it looks like. So I think